Today we're going to talk about Alien Earth Episode 3 and whether or not the complaints of Episode 1 and 2 are answered here in this episode. This is the Geek Ball channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about Alien Earth Episode 3, which I just got done watching a short while ago on FX. So, I don't think I've ever mentioned this in the other videos, but I try not to watch other people's reviews before I make review videos because I like to have, my untainted opinion on them. And sometimes I feel like that's a mistake because sometimes people in other reviews point out things I completely missed because I am not a critic. Okay, like I talk about these things and I give scores and whatnot for movies, but there are elements of like story building that I just don't catch. Sorry, not a classically trained critic. So, with that in mind, I want to talk briefly about some of the complaints I saw about the first two episodes. And, like for instance, I saw the Critical Drinker talked about episode 1, great, episode 2, dumb. And I don't know if I can agree with that. I see where he's coming from. But the main complaint seems to center around why would this trillionaire send the robot kids into the crashed ship? And that seemed to, on the surface, I kind of agree. Because it's not like these kids are trained for search and rescue or anything at all like that. I think he's counting an awful lot on the fact their bodies are probably virtually indestructible. So, but we need to keep in mind that initially they had no idea that there were alien creatures on board the ship. So the only real concerns would be structural damage, the ship falling apart, the buildings falling onto the ship, or if there's any crew members left alive. So, now, however, they did eventually discover that there were alien creatures on the ship, and they did not choose to skedaddle. Now, first of all, minor spoilers for this episode, a lot of these things are addressed in this episode, but I want to fall back on the series in general. There's a recurring theme in this series, and that is the hubris and greed of these people making the decisions. So I do not find this decision that far-fetched, because the moment this guy heard alien creatures, clearly the wheels began spinning, and you see that in this episode. Whenever he's like, look, this is $1 trillion worth of stuff just landed on our laps here, like, we're keeping it. So, I don't find it that far-fetched that he would do this, So, because you gotta remember, younger guy, genius, clearly, has a problem with, things boring him, and so, the whole, hey, let's make people immortal in robot bodies, while that was the new hotness, now all of a sudden this is the new hotness. And he's got the money to just piss away on this other side project. So, I don't think it's that far-fetched for this to happen. So, I just wanted to address that. And the other thing being that the alien, the xenomorph, just murders everyone it comes across. That's also addressed in this episode. Kind of. So, anyway, that's my answers to some of the criticisms I've seen. On to talking about tonight's episode. Well, this week's episode. I don't know when you guys are watching this. For all I know, you watched this 5 years after I recorded it. Episode 3. We'll just go with that. So, some things definitely happened in this episode. Let's see. Without going into super spoilers, I will go into spoilers here in a moment. But without going into them, the general atmosphere is maintained. We're starting to get into some of the potential body horror for the robots. We're starting to see some personality out of some of them, and we do get to meet Miss Yutani briefly, and the cyborg guy, Morrow, as menacing as he was in the first 2 episodes. The guy playing him's doing a pretty good job. Also, a little factoid of note. This takes place in 2120. So this is 2 years before Alien. So, yeah, I think I know how this is going to end. But, yeah, so overall, I like the show, like where it's going. I think I know where some things are going to go, and I'll talk about those in the spoilers, but I think we are definitely barreling towards some existential crises for some characters. Other characters I don't think are going to care. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, overall, non-spoiler, pretty good. Timothy Olyphant and the guy playing Morrow are the two stealing the show so far. Timothy Olyphant, his his robot character, I think isn't overly impressed with humanity. I think so far he's mostly keeping it under wraps, hiding it fairly well. But no, I think he thinks that robots are definitely superior. So we'll see. But I'll talk a little more about that in spoilers. So non-spoiler, you guys check it out. If you like the first 2 episodes, I definitely stick with it. Some things were answered. But yeah, that's about as far as I can go without going to spoilers, which we're going to now. So this is the spoiler section. If you don't want spoilers, turn this off, go watch the episode, come back, whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, so here we go with the spoilers. So, Morrow, our cyborg guy, is able to kind of get in with one of the robot kids. He plants a transmitter on him. He also downloaded everything from the computer, then erased the files. He's human enough that he still can trigger the eggs, because the 2 robots are just there and nothing's happening with them. But whenever Morrow gets pushed into them by Timothy, is not physically pushed, but the presence of Kirsch, which is Timothy Olyphant's character, he begins to dominate the scene and is pushing him into the eggs, and the eggs begin to react and begin to open. So he jumps for it, and Kirsch puts together the whole deal with the eggs. Clearly something comes out of them that implants the embryo version of the xenomorph, and he explains all this to the trillionaire. After the trillionaire just about gets facehuggered, he gets close to the egg and it starts to open up and everything. Kirsch realizes he's not going to move, so he pushes him out of the lab, explains that someone human like you would be an incubator for this thing. And so the trillionaire seals the lab, tells Kirsch the only people allowed in and out have to be synthetics, and he's in charge. And I think his response is something like, "As you wish," or "As you command," or something. But it seems to be obvious to me that he's fascinated by these things. And not just the xenomorph, but the other creatures too. Continuing the trend of the robots in Alien not being overly impressed with humanity and really liking the xenomorph. So we'll see where that goes.
Magnificent, isn't it?
He did get one of the face huggers out of the eggs and was able to subdue it and remove the embryo. Then Wendy's brother got injured whenever they fought the existent xenomorph, and she killed it, which is where they find out it has acid for blood. But she was injured in the process, and so was he, and they bring them both back to the island along with all the alien specimens. Morrow, our cyborg guy, he escapes. And so they bring everything back, and they have to work on Wendy to get her back online. The trillionaire is very upset that something happened to Wendy. And then they removed one of her brother's lungs and hooked it up so it could operate on its own. And then they put the alien embryo in it. So in the tank that it's in, and it swam inside of it. So presumably we're going to have another xenomorph on the loose here before too long. Again, remember, hubris. People thinking they can control what cannot be controlled. So, amidst all this, one of the other robot kids, Curly, goes to confront the trillionaire over the fact that Wendy's his favorite. And she's like, "Well, Wendy's out of commission, so here I am to give you the debrief." And so he's like, "Yeah, whatever." Then she's like, "Look, It's like Wendy only thinks about her brother. She's like, I think about things. Like, I've read all kinds of books. I learned French. He's like, when did you do that? She's like, a couple weeks ago. And, he's like, all right, I tell you what, like, I'll give you some books to read and, some other stuff. Like, then we'll talk. She's like, am I your favorite now? He's like, no, but you're in the running. So she's showing the traits that he wants. Curiosity, limitless imagination like a child. He mentioned that's what key to being a child genius is, the imagination. And so, she's showing the interest. She wants to take advantage of the fact she has the big cyborg brain and wants to cram it full of everything, So, as he mentioned an episode ago, she's doing what he wants as far as, like, to try to become better than him so that he can actually have a meaningful conversation with somebody. So he's seeing it now in her. And I said that at least one of them won't be too disappointed if she winds up, just as a robot. It's her. Like, she doesn't care. She clearly views this as an upgrade. So, yeah. So you got all that happening. Morrow gets a hold of Utani, and she wants him to come in, and he's like, no, collecting these things has been my life's work. I'm going to get them back for you. So now he's on the vendetta to try to get all this stuff back. And he planted a transmitter on one of the other kid robots, and he's able to contact him. And so now he's got a guy on the inside, essentially. So then you find out that they record everything the androids, the robots are seeing, but I don't think they can record everything they hear, because he, whenever he had him, he leaned in close and asked him a question, and they couldn't hear what it was. So that also means that they can't hear the conversation he's having, because he's speaking out loud, and the parts in his head, but they can't hear any of it. So yeah, like I said, the themes of hubris and greed are definitely playing out here. The guy's got this system, these robots and everything that can make him limitless money, and this other thing falls in his lap, and he wants the new shiny thing. And of course, Utani's going to try to get all of her stuff back. So yeah. My theories as to where this is going to go is we're going to have one or more xenomorphs. Now they're on an island, so that's going to kind of restrict their movement. And in the end, they might have to nuke the island. We'll probably see the end of the Prodigy Corporation, probably the end of all these robot people. And it'll probably all conveniently, like I said, be destroyed in a nuclear blast.
I say we take off, nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
I think that Kirsch is going to show his I hate humanity side and try to screw him over with the creatures. And then I think it's going to end with Utani making the decision to intentionally divert the Nostromo to LV-426. Because we'll probably find out that that's where, Morrow will probably tell her that's where they found the eggs. Or maybe not. You never know. It might have like some kind of profile, like like the distress signal or something, and so the other ships will be updated to begin looking for that kind of thing, and Nostromo just happens to find the one in LV-426. But we'll see. Hopefully we actually see a flashback of how they acquired the eggs. And the other creatures, that'd be nice too. So we haven't seen as much out of the other creatures in this episode. And then one of the other robots, the girl that the eye thing tried to like attach itself to her, she's beginning to have like weird body horror things. Like she's looking at herself in the mirror, but she's also seeing like the after image of her actual physical self, which does not look like her adult self. And she's like trying to figure out, I guess, if she's real. And she literally like puts her finger, like pokes her eye, and has no reaction because it's a robotic eye. So I think she's going to lose it. Yeah. But anyway, that's where I think things are going. Like I said, the show's still pretty good. It is 8 episodes altogether, so there are 5 left. But yeah, we'll see where everything goes. But yeah, like I said, my recommendation, check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, we'll see what the other 5 episodes hold. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do these weekly episodes like this. We'll just have to see on timing. But yeah, that's all I've got to say on this one. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting helps us grow the channel. Subscriptions, obviously, it's the name of the game here on YouTube. Thank you everyone that helped us get over the 500 hump recently, and we're barreling towards 550 at the moment. And I don't want to jinx it, but if things keep progressing, we'll be there before the end of the month. So thank you for helping make that happen, and Jim for manning the social media front. That's definitely helping us. So anyway, that's all I've got. So just remember, in space, no one can hear you scream.